Hey, good afternoon, everybody. KB5 MIQ Big Boy. We got old ham radio cat up here right in the big middle of stuff today. We got a couple of subjects we're going to talk about, but first, I got something in the mail today. It really made my day. KI5YKQ Glenn, one of my listeners, made me a belt buckle. Good Texas sized belt buckle. KB5 MIQ Big Boy on it. Man, I really like it. Glenn, thank you, buddy. I really appreciate it. That's great. That made my Saturday, I promise you. All right, we're gonna get into a couple of subjects here that may hit some nerve, but we've one of my earlier videos I posted about Jeff's 718 issues he was having, and he's got it fixed, and so far it's been working. But we're gonna get that in just a minute. On the slides at the end of the video, there's going to be a general class starting in Atlanta, Texas on the Tuesday the 14th. If any of y'all in that area want to upgrade to general, I'll be a slide with info on that. Of course, we'll have the Texarkana tailgate sale slide, Emory slide, the Shreveport slide, and I think there's one fair down in around Houston. I'm going to have it on Fairfield, Texas, I believe. There'll be some more Hamfest slides on there with other info. Okay. Uh, Also, we're gonna tie this in. This whole thing was an RFI issue. And before I get into what Jeff had with his issues, one of my listeners, other listener, Chris Howell, sent me a video, and I may go ahead and tag it on here. If it's in the description, I'm gonna go ahead and put it on there. It's not as much ham radio related, but it's gives you an idea of how much RFI that we're probably going to start dealing with more and more as things keep progressing with technology, especially you guys in the built up areas. I don't have that big a problem out here with it. This video shows the range and how a traffic cam works, and I'm gonna put it in a link to it in the description. Um, I've noticed, I said in an earlier video back in the 90s, we can always tell where the cable TV was leaking in these towns by driving through it with a 2 meter radio. Well, I've noticed now it's worse. Especially the DeKalb town next to me, and I don't think it's as much cable TV now as it's just the amount of wireless and stray RFI that's out there that we're around. We don't even think about. I know if I pull up drive through to pick up prescriptions, I have to turn radio down because it's picking up something in there, and you drive close to anything, Sonic, fast food restaurants, I start picking up some RFI. So it's fact Jeff's issue with the radio was RFI related, and we're gonna get into that. I talk a lot about social media and guys getting either the snarky answers or the NASA engineer answered. I found out I do have a retired NASA engineer listening to me. So David, me and you've talked about this. He's a good subscriber, good ham radio operator. He knows I'm just joking when I use that as a term. But you're going to find a lot of those answers in general ham radio pages. But there's specific groups that I have found a lot of help in for various things. And this is where Jeff found his issue with this 718. Anytime you see a forum or a group that's radio specific, subject specific, and you got questions, that's probably one of your better places to go for information. And I've never seen anybody get any real bad responses out of that. I've got a John Deere tractor I was having all kinds of trouble with starting several years ago. John Deere couldn't explain it to me, and I finally got in a tractor forum. In 10 minutes, I had my tractor running. I'm in an 897D Facebook page, and I've got several answers on my radio with it. And it's kind of the rule of thumb on these where I put my videos at. Like there's a couple of pages on there that just paper QSL cards or 6 and 10 meter ham radio. If my video and the subject matter doesn't have a reference to their page, like QSL cards or 10 meter radio, they really don't want the videos on there, and that's fine. I understand that. They like to keep their page subject specific. So if you're having issues with something like that, and you can find a forum or a Facebook page that's specific for that item, you probably got a better chance of getting help there. All right, Jeff's issue with the 718, I've tried to screenshot his text messages here, so I'm going to try to read some of them. But basically what was happening, and we'll clarify, justify both of us with this, is that me and him, especially him, he started out in tube radios. I started out like with this old 701 that was just transistors and mechanical relays, no multifunction screens. Excuse me, everything was a knob or a switch. Well, and he did too. When I first got into the hobby, he run a Kenwood TS-180S for years. And like I did, me and him both got laid out of the hobby raising kids for a while. And then he got back in, he got that 718. Well, what we found out, what it was doing, the transmitter would drop off intermittently and the LCD display would show constant output when no signal was even present. And this gets back to an RFI issue. What the answer was, he had his coax running to the radio right in really close proximity to his power lines, to his power feed to the radio. Let's see if I can read his exact words. The transmitter would drop off intermittently and the LCD display would show a constant output with no signal present. The problem was he had the, well, let me find, well, had the transmission line running alongside the DC power line to the receiver. Occasionally I would move the coax away from the problem and the problem would go away. I knew better, but this is a mess. Well, knew better, but wasn't paying attention like some of us do. After 45 years, he made the mistake of not checking the simple stuff first. And to be on the safe side, he installed a new ground rod, and he's been running it now, let's see, where was it? It's been on a ground rod to a transceiver about 5 weeks now, and the problem hadn't returned. And that's good. He was afraid the radio was going out. The 718's got a lot of good, really good things to say about it. But it's not a starter radio. Before anybody goes there, I hate that term starter radio. For the simple fact, you shouldn't tell another ham that his radio's a starter radio. I don't think. Because you never know a person's budget or anything like that. That way they operate, that may be all the radio they need. So that's not a starter radio. But getting back to the RFI issues, that was a problem. And I'm going to say if that had been a ICOM 735 at 701 of mine, or any of the older radios that were pre-multifunction screens, would never have been a problem. You've got computer processors, these new radios run the multifunction screens. It makes the radio smaller and more efficient, and I got no problem with that, but that's just an RFI issue you got to look out for. Now, your coax will have a little RFI on the shield. A little voltage will be on the shield no matter how low you got your coax, unless you got it absolutely perfect. And, you know, anything under 2 to 1 ham radio, what most people run. I'm not going to lie to you, if I got red antenna up, this 1.6, 1.7 to 1, I don't mess with it anymore. So, be that what it may. Now, he throwed his 2 cents worth in here on the dreaded grounding issue versus lightning protection. We both agree that the good ground rod is there for RFI to help with RFI, but neither one of us trusts lightning protection. We disconnect our gear every time, and I, for one, have had a direct hit on an antenna, and I didn't have my gear hooked up, and all I lost was an antenna. I didn't lose any gear. So, not knocking anybody who uses lightning protection. Don't crucify us for that. That's just our way of operating, and that's just what I've said about you need to make your decisions to run your shack the way you see fit. That's as simple a way as I can put it. Well, glad you got that thing going, and appreciate all got going on here. And Glenn, thanks again, man. I love that belt buckle. All the slides are on here about the ham shows and the tailgate sales. Y'all remember Main Trading Company? He's got new used gear hitting there every day. I think there's 6 pages of used gear on his site right now. Thanks again, everybody who subscribed to the channel. We just hit 857, and we're getting closer and closer to that 900 sub giveaway. Check out all the slides for all the events upcoming, and thanks again, everybody who subscribed to the channel. This is KB5MIQ Big Boy 73.